Hello, everyone. Hope you all are well today. It is snowing where we are and
Lovely.
cold, so I don't know if the weather has changed where you are, but we definitely have noticed a huge shift
It's great.
in the last, I don't know, probably week or so. Things have shifted a lot.
Yeah, like
So,
last Sunday, I feel.
um,
Big
yeah,
fan.
got we have snow coming down. I'm not sure if you can see it behind me, but got snow coming down and snow fell over the weekend. And yeah, we feel like winter is upon us. So we're so excited to have you all join us today. We are going to be covering expert level listing creation and data handling. Um, as a reminder, Matt, you can go to the next slide. We are most effective when you guys are talking to each other. We kind of base our webinars on two different audiences. So either you're using Listing Mirror or you're thinking about using Listing Mirror. And in both cases, you have lots of valuable information that you can give each other. And so please make sure that you are using that feature. We would love to see your engagement. And this is what we're going to cover today. So first, we're just going to run through who we are and what our format today is going to be. And then we're going to get into how to create listings. So that's our big thing today, which, is maybe a little bit more of a simple topic, but we're hoping to really provide you with some tools that are helpful to you just to be able to really get a grasp on different ways to create listings, how to do things in bulk. So we're going to start with listing creation with one click. So there are a couple different ways that you can do that. Then we're going to go into bulk listing creation methods. We're going to then cover how can Listing Mirror create the best listings possible. So what are some tips and tricks that you can use? And then, the last thing is just more tips and tricks from the experts. So moving right along. Today, Matt and I are the presenters. So this is Matt, our senior tech support specialist here with us today. If you haven't met Matt yet and you're using Listing Mirror, you will definitely meet him soon. And Matt has been with Listing Mirror about 5 years, I
Like
think.
4.5.
Is that right? 4.5.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So he's been with us for a while. He knows a lot of stuff, and in a lot of cases, he knows some more tips and tricks than I even know. So it'll be great to have him cover some of that stuff with us today. And then I'm Erin, and I am co-founder of Listing Mirror, and I function as the COO of the company. I love doing these webinars. I love being able to interact. Thank you so much, everyone, for saying hello here, and let's get started. So, as a reminder, and this was mentioned in the emails, I'm going to put up some polls here. And the way that the polls will work is if you can answer all 11 of the polls, you will be entered to win a $50 Amazon gift card. So I am going to add those polls. Okay. So you're going to start seeing those filter in here. And also, I mentioned this before, but please make sure that you're using the chat feature, because the more questions that we can get there in terms of how we can, what kind of questions we can answer for you, what things we're saying that don't make sense, what things we're saying that you'd just like more clarification on, because it's something that you've encountered and you don't quite understand how to do, that would be helpful to us as well. We do have a lot more attendees today, which is great. But just be mindful of the conversation, just making sure that you guys are interacting with each other, and also giving a little bit of time for our moderators to come through and help us out to find the questions that we need so that we can answer them. All right, moving on to the content. So let's first talk about how Listing Mirror gathers the information that we use from the, I'm just going to mute my email notifications because I think you guys can hear those. Okay, so let's first talk about how we get the information that we use to create your Listing Mirror product catalog. So most commonly what we do is we are going to import your product data your listings from your primary listing source, which for a lot of you is your Amazon channel. So we have a lot of Amazon sellers that use Listing Mirror, and typically they're going to be they're going to come to Listing Mirror with a complete product, a complete data set of products. We will import those directly from Amazon, and then you'll use that information from your primary listing source, whatever that happens to be, to create the listings on other channels. Understanding that a lot of times you have to edit the data a little bit to create good listings and things like that. So we try to give you a structure for it. The other way that you can create a product within Listing Mirror, listings come from products, is you can click on the add a new product. Could you just go back one slide, Matt?
I went too far.
Oh, that's okay. Don't worry about it. So we'll just stay on this one, but there is a button in the right-hand corner. I'll make sure that you guys get these slides too, so don't worry about it. There's a button in the top right-hand corner of the Manage Listings page that says Add New Product. So that would be the other option as far as adding a product to your catalog. If you need to list something that you don't yet have listed anywhere. And then from there, that's how we're going to go about creating listings. So you typically have a live listing somewhere. We've imported into Listing Mirror, and now we're going to talk about how we're going to create those new listings. So the most simple way that you can create a listing, and this is creating a listing with one click, is to click the plus sign button right on your Manage Listings page. So this creates one single listing, or it creates all variations of a variation listing. So even in this, the screenshot that's here, there are two variations listed under this particular a lapel flower. So there are two listings listed under that. And what happens is when you click that plus sign, it creates both variations. Now can you go on to the next slide, Matt? So the other way that we can create individual listings is to go into the product page. If you've been in other webinars, you might know that if you click on the title or the SKU of the product on your Managed Listings page, that's going to bring you into this screen. What you can see on this screen is a little bit of information that we imported from your primary listing source. And this is where you're going to change the data up so that it makes sense for the marketplace where you're creating the listing. So this might be where you update things like images, things like, just depending on what data is yours and what data needs to be updated appropriately for different marketplaces, of course. So in here, you can also create a listing. So in here, we also have a plus sign button. The difference with this method is that right now, and we are working on eventually updating this, but right now, the way that it works is when you click that plus sign, you get some prompts to fill out information that is needed in order for the listing to go live. So the biggest difference between the listings on the listings that you create from the Managed Listings page versus the listings that you create from the product page is that there may be data missing for the listing that we wouldn't necessarily let you know if you create it from the Managed Listings page. So in that sense, it almost makes more sense to create it from this product page, just to click that listing, and then you're prompted for the information that might be missing. So this is oftentimes a good way to handle information that way. All right, if we can, I'm just checking to see if we have any questions so far. It doesn't look like it. Hello, everyone.
So far.
Okay, so now we're going to get into, it's fairly common that you want to create more than one listing at a time. Generally, you don't come to Listing Mirror to create like 5 listings. You come to Listing Mirror because you need to create hundreds or thousands of listings, sometimes hundreds of thousands of listings. And there are some great ways to be able to do that. So the first option for you to create listings in bulk like this is from the Managed Listings page again. So just from the top drop down, you're just going to go to Listings and then click on Manage Listings, and you're going to end up at this page. The product action, there's a menu for product actions. What you can do is you can select the listings that or the products, that you want to create on a particular channel. And then from the drop-down menu, you can select create create listings, and then you'll be prompted to input or to, I guess, select the marketplaces where you want to create those listings. So this would be one way for you to create listings in bulk, and be able to do it in a way that that creates a bunch of listings at once, but also you can determine which marketplaces you want to create the listings on. So this is a really nice option for someone who doesn't want to work in spreadsheets, who would prefer to work in the interface or isn't as good with spreadsheets as maybe they want to be, or what have you. And then this would be a way for you to be able to create those listings in bulk. Another thing to keep in mind here too is that it's a little bit hard to see in our screenshot here, I guess, just depending on the size of your screen. But on this slide, we show, if you look at the top, there is a blue button called Filter Results. Some people don't know that if you click that button, it actually expands I think it's called a modal, yes, on the side. And that has a bunch of ways that you can filter the information that you're looking at, even if you don't put in any search terms. So let's say you want to filter down to all listings that we don't have on, let's say, our Overstock channel, right? We just want to look at all listings that are not listed on Overstock. Well, you can filter your results to see that before you even go through any listing creation, for instance, so that you know the listings that you're looking at haven't been created there, and then go through the bulk action process. So that's just something to be aware of. And then clicking, then you, like this says, then you're just going to select from the channels that you have available, or select all channels, either one. Okay, moving on to our next slide. The other way of creating listings in bulk is going to be through a spreadsheet. So from the bulk edit page, you can download a create and delete template. So if you're on the manage listings page, or if you're looking at the manage listings dropdown, it's one of the options there. I think it's just called bulk edit templates, something along those lines. And when you pull up that page, you will see a whole host of options for pages that you can download, or spreadsheets that you can download, that are formatted specifically so that when you upload them into Listing Mirror, we can receive that data and then take action on your account. So what you're going to do is you'll use that specific spreadsheet. That template has a column for SKU, a column for the title, and a column for each integration. And all you're going to do then, if you're wanting to create listings, is to enter a C for every marketplace where you want to create a listing. Now, understand that this does not take into account like the category that you may need or anything like that, but it is a really quick way to get listings created. And so this is kind of, this is the bulk method with spreadsheets.
I believe that is when I take over. So best practices.
Yes.
So basically the kind of stuff you do before you go about your market listing creation. So after your listings have imported and the product listings have been created based on that, you got 3 things that we kind of focus on in this webinar as a best practices. Something to do before you start creating a bunch of market listings. So category mapping, rules, and product catalog. So the first one on the list is category mapping. So this is found if you're in Listing Mirror, click on, I think it's listing at the top, and then category, US category mapping for most, but each country will have their own category mapping. So we'll start with the US, assume that's the default. Category mapping. So this is basically our product listings. Their categories are based on Amazon categories, kind of a one-to-one. We just Amazon has a massive amount of categories through a wide variety of things. So we just use as their base, and that's the starting point. And then, as you may know from listing across marketplaces, categories do not always match one-to-one. Sometimes they do, and it works out really well, and we'll do that automatically for you. But there are cases where the category is just not obvious what it is on Amazon than what it should be on Walmart or Overstock or eBay or what have you. So this is where category mapping comes into play. This page will list all of your product listing categories, and then each of your marketplaces under that, and they'll have the option. You'll see if we've already done it, there'll be like a little override. As you can see, this is a one that's already been mapped, but there's ones that have no mapping, which will say pretty clear here. And you would just click on this create, and you would go down the category leaf like you would normally set in a category on the listing. doing this initially at the beginning will just save you so much time, especially like you're going to have to assign categories to listings anyway, right? Like market listing needs a category, so it will need to be assigned. This is just kind of, this step here will just allow you to get ahead of that. And so instead of doing it, like instead of creating a bunch of eBay listings and then go, oh, okay, I got to assign a bunch of categories to each one of these, you just go into category mapping and start there, map everything there. So when we create listings down the road, they'll just have their category mapped correctly automatically. Super convenient. And that's pretty much that page. Pretty straightforward. Rules would be the next part. So rules can be used for one-off adjustments, or they could be used that just automatically change things. Rules are triggered when listings are created. So when you create a listing for the first time, any rules under that integration will apply automatically to it. For example, you want to just increase your eBay prices by 10%. It's just something you want to do. You're like, I have my Amazon price. I know, you're filling through FBA, so you want to recoup your fulfillment costs. So you're just a flat 10% increase on prices for eBay. So you can create that pricing rule within Listing Mirror, and whenever you create new eBay listings, this rule will be applied and it will increase the price by 10%. And that's just kind of, one of example. Our rules, I guess I should start, they're found at listings at the top and then rules. We have a lot of different, you can kind of see each title, that's just what it's called. There's the filter type, so this is when are we doing the rule. This is the rule action, like what is it doing. Field name, like what field are we targeting with that rule, and then the value, usually what you want the rule to be adding to that field, or deleting, that kind of thing. So for example, we also have like the append ability, so we can append field, which means add to the end. So in this case, like if you had your description and you just wanted to, I think this example, always append the description to this. So this is basically saying always add "thank you for buying my product" to the end of my description. So whenever you create a listing, it'll just tack this on to your description automatically. And they're not, you're more limited by imagination than what the rules can actually do. They cover a wide variety of things, and you can filter by a wide variety of fields. So if you ever have questions or specifics of like how you want to go about or do something, and if it feels really slow and sluggish, just let us know. There's almost always a better way to do it, quicker and more efficient. It's like the whole point of Listing Mirror is to make an efficient software that makes it not harder to use than like going live. So it's like something's just like, oh, this just sucks, it's just slogging, it's just taking me hours to do the stuff. Usually those things can be filled with like a rule or a template or that kind of thing. So yeah, if it's ever slogging, let us know, we'll help you out. And then I think the third thing is product catalog. So the product listing, as we covered in the beginning, when we import a market listing, we create a product listing based off that market data. That said, a lot of time the product data, it's best to go through it and make sure and ensure that everything looks proper, especially like when we import descriptions from Amazon. If you want a little more there are certain descriptions on Amazon that would not be allowed on the other marketplaces, such as like, I can't think of any example off the top of my head, but there's definitely stuff that just you wouldn't want in there. So post market listing import, but before you create market listings, you could use the product data and adjust it before it gets sent out. So you just go through the product data, make sure, okay, the title looks good, the description, we got the UPCs here because we are not able to import UPCs from Amazon. So that's always a good thing to add. And you can always use a product edit template, which will contain all the fields in the product listing data in just a nice Excel format. So if you wanted to go through like that, but you're also always welcome to go through it based on the UI. Depends on what you're more comfortable with. There's no right or wrong answer here. Let's see. But yeah, like some things missing, like the UPC, EAN, perhaps the images, variation names and values, especially when going through the different marketplaces. It doesn't always line up one-to-one. So it's best to double check just to make sure. Can't hurt, that's for sure. It'll save you, it seems like a lot of work up front, but trust me, long run, it'll save you a headache. And then I think, let's see. Yes. So Aaron covered this a little bit. It's just using the filter on the manage listings page in combination with the bulk action to create effectively and quickly. So for example, you could filter for listings that are found on Amazon but missing on Overstock, and it's going to show you every single SKU that, hey, this exists in Listingmere on Amazon, but it doesn't exist on Overstock. And this allows you to just narrow down the list of SKUs you're looking at and then use the bulk action to create in just all of them at once. Pretty convenient. And those filters can get pretty specific. The listing fields, you can target things like if it has Nike in the title, show that to me. If it has more than 10 FBA quantity, show that to me. And you can stack these filters as well and get more and more specific as you want. So instead of having to be like, okay, I need to find all my SKUs with Nike in the title and they have less than 10 FBA quantity, for example. Instead of having to go through and manually search through each one, you could just combine those two filters, and then, yeah, you just combine the two filters and you will find all those listings instantly. And then at that point, you're just using the bulk action and checking them all off and creating them all at once. Very useful, save you a lot of time, that's for sure. And you can also save, so when you filter things, and I know some clients, they use it as like they'll like bookmark it, the bookmark it filter save. Like, so like every time I want to look at all of these, certain amount of products, they'll do all the filtering and then bookmark that tab. So every time they want to I want to look at all my X listings, they just load that tab up and bam, the filter's already saved. Very convenient. And
Yeah, some people also know that as the URL. So
URL.
in case you weren't clear on what Matt was saying,
Yeah,
you
that
save
URL
the URL as yes, and then you can reopen that. Yeah, and that is super handy if you're
really
if you're always or maybe you're one person on a team of 5 and your responsibility is only to look at a subset and to work on fixing errors for a subset of listings or whatever that looks like. So yeah, now we would love to answer your questions. So we have one question that has come in. So we can definitely start off with that. So Patrick asks, if creating on product page, can that new product be added on both FBM and FBA easily? Do you want to talk through that, like what that process would be like to connect it to an Amazon listing?
Are they asking if they can create both FBA and FBM?
Sure. Yeah, so that's good for context. This is the way that I would answer you, Patrick. And of course, please clarify if this isn't how you're thinking of it. So, if you're adding a product inside of Listingmere and it's not something that you're selling on Amazon yet, but maybe you are going to in the future, what the process for that is a little bit different. I think that would probably get into like untracked listings and doing more along those lines. So I think for the context of this webinar, the way that I'll explain it is this. If you have a product that you are going to sell on Amazon, there are 2 really good ways of handling that. It is to create to add an offer to the product inside of Listingmere. And that is on the Amazon specific page. I think I'll look it up in just a second. Maybe Matt can answer the next question and I'll look it up. But I'm pretty sure that we have an article that specifically talks about adding an offer for an Amazon listing. And I think that process probably would work better for what you're asking. So you want to know, if you can add a product or a listing for something that you're going to sell, both FBM and FBA. So what happens when you add an offer for a product is you're saying, I want to sell this on my Amazon store. It immediately also adds it to your immediately adds it to your Amazon store. And it also adds it as a product inside of Listingmere. So from there, that creates an FBM offer for the product. From there, what you would do is if you want to also create an FBA listing or an FBA offer, I guess, for that product, then you would need to handle that directly in your Amazon account.
Yeah.
If it's a product that you're not listing yet on Amazon, then yes, you can just add the product inside of Listingmere, and then somewhere down the road, you could add an offer to that product, and we would, if you use the same SKU and you add the listing in Amazon, then we would connect it to exactly what you have listed in Listingmere. So
yeah, same SKU.
All that would match up from magic behind
internet
the scenes
magic.
Okay. So I hope that answers your question, but please, if it does not, please ask clarifying questions and we'll get to the answer there. Okay, Mari says, I found that sometimes when I edit the bullets in the Listing Mirror product listing, then when I add to the new marketplace, it doesn't fill in the bullets that I entered in the Listing Mirror product listing. Are you familiar with that or no?
I mean, it should definitely. That should happen. Monty, if you see that not happening, definitely let us know. When you're logged into Listomir, at the bottom right, there's a little quick help button. If you click that, it'll eventually take you to a page where you can submit a request and just include the SKU and be like, hey, bullet points in the product listing are filled out, but it's not filling them out on the marketplace, and we can take a look because it should be doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and for stuff like that, if you're doing something and you think it's one way but it doesn't make sense, always just feel free to reach out to us and we will explain or clarify or troubleshoot in case it shouldn't be happening or isn't a thing. But yeah, they should fill out the bullet points on the market listing. But I'd have to see a specific example for sure, because I mean there are instances where I can imagine it's not, but there's usually a reason to it.
Right, absolutely. I was thinking like maybe there's a case where if you added a bullet point, it's a marketplace that doesn't use bullet
right.
points.
Like there are definitely cases where I can see it not happening, but for the most part it should.
And also if it's not working and there's a reason for it, we'll definitely be able to tell you what it is and give you a workaround.
Gotta love a workaround.
Like that. Okay, I see another. Oh, Michael says Etsy and Shopify do not recognize bullet points, for instance.
Right.
So the bullet points from the product. So thanks for clarifying that, Michael. Okay. I see a question from Amber. I turned off Listing Mirror. When I turn it back on, what effect would it have on my inventory within my integrations? We want to make sure our inventory was 100% before we turned it back on. Great question. And you're very smart to get ahead of this.
Yeah, definitely.
It can create a world of hurt.
It's super can.
So we are like, things are kind of always in flux in terms of how we're handling this because each business owner expects different things. But right now, the way that we have it, the way that we're handling it, I believe, and someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the way that we handle it is that we actually clear everything out of your account when you come back. So you shouldn't see anything. You should have to re-add your integrations and all of that. And so it shouldn't be that you are coming back to integrations with old inventory levels. Having said that, if you are already in the process of that and you're already in the state where you see a bunch of information that's out of date, what I would recommend is download the quantity update. Is that what it's called? I think so. The quantity update spreadsheet, and make sure that the inventory levels that are in that spreadsheet are correct. If they're not, copy them and paste them in from wherever your source of truth is right now. Upload that and then start syncing. So that's why we have that giant start syncing button there, because it could be a lot of problems.
Yeah, definitely could.
I hope that answers your question. Please.
I think it depends on how old their account is when we delete integrations. I can't remember how long we wait because I think we hold them for a little bit. But like the product listings, I think stay always unless we delete them. Which I mean, it's like it depends on the case, right? Because like every business owner, sometimes they just like, no, I had all my product listings; they were great before. I just want to keep up. I just want to use those and pick up where it was left off. Other times it's like, no, I want a clean slate, start fresh, that kind of deal. Which I think the latter is more common. I find people just want to like, hey, get rid of the old data. Let's just start fresh, that kind of deal.
Yeah,
especially with
and I'm thinking something changed very recently. That I believe maybe you get like an option when you come back. Maybe Lindy can speak to that. Lindy is one of our moderators today, and she may be able to chime in there because I don't quite remember. But anyway, Amber, the other thing to mention there is if the process is not making sense for your business and you want to like just have a double check, just have somebody else look at it, we definitely can. And you can just either contact the support team or you can contact me directly. And my my email address is in this slide deck, and I posted the slide deck here as a handout, so you can grab it and contact me that way as well. Okay, so another question from Muddy. Okay. Oh, and thank you. Yes, Lindy just answered. So we don't have that option implemented yet for you to be able to select whether or not you want to save your listings, or your products, I guess. Currently, your product listing data stays, but we re-import your integrations. Okay. All right, perfect.
Nice.
Looks like Amber got her question
Sense.
answered, and hopefully it helped a couple more of you too. Okay, so Mari, you said, can I set a rule to select a shipping template for Walmart based on the weight that I entered in the listing your product listing? Currently, I can only select a template after I created the item on the marketplace.
You
Good question.
totally can, and it's real convenient. I saw the question
So
ahead
I
of time.
posted, yeah, I posted a link to the webinar that we recently did about rule creation. I don't know if we addressed this specifically though.
Yeah, I can't remember either. It definitely can be done for sure. You can target the shipping template field with rules, and you can filter based on the shipping weight field. So you could, if it's not obvious, please write in, and you could always be like, "Hey, Matt was talking about a rule to help me with shipping templates. Can I talk to him?" And we can set up a thing. But let me double check. Because I actually had a test account already open, and I'm just looking at it. So you would do when listing field. I can never remember how this goes. Do you look backwards every time you move forward? Greater than. I think it's greater than. Yeah. So let's see. When listing field greater than 0, so you just start with like the initial one. This might be too confusing to explain on the thing.
Yeah,
without just showing you what
let's
it
do
would
this
look
real
like,
quick.
right? Like, but it can be
Yeah,
done for
yeah.
sure. Yeah, it definitely can.
Yeah, perfect. That would be super helpful.
Yeah.
Okay, so Lynn asks, can you connect to WFS for Walmart? We can. That is brand new. I think it might have just gone out on Wednesday or Thursday of last week, maybe
I think
Thursday or
so.
Friday.
Mhm.
Yeah, so we do. Oh, Lindy answered as well. So perfect. But yes, as she said, what other features for WFS would you like to see supported? Because we're definitely taking feedback for that, and we would like to know what you guys need and what you want. Any other questions?
Morris asks, can we contact you after this session if we still find difficulties in doing some of these things discussed? Most certainly. If when you're logged into Listing Mirror, the bottom right, there will be a quick help bubble. If you click on that, it'll take you to another page where it's like your hub for your support requests. So at the very top, you'll see submit a request, I think it's called. If you click that, you can just fill out some quick description of the issue, problem, whatever you're trying to figure out, and then we'll get to you. And our response time is usually pretty quick. But yeah, most certainly.
Yeah, and
Always,
by
for sure.
pretty quick, we definitely do mean pretty quick. Usually we can get a response out to you within an hour or two, within the working day. So that is 9 to 6 for us, and I'll get into this in a second.
Eastern.
And then a little bit longer on the weekends, Eastern time. Yeah.
But yeah, definitely. If you ever have questions or concerns or whatever, yeah, definitely contact us. Way better than not saying anything and just like, because there's almost always a better way to go about doing something, or a correct way, if you will. So if you're having trouble or it's just like, that sucks, there's usually shouldn't suck, and we can make it better for you, for sure.
Yeah.
So yes, contact us, please.
Asaf says, import listings from Walmart as untracked, same thing as you do from Amazon. Okay, so
It feels like, has this been discussed before? We definitely can't do it now. I'm looking in our, see if this is like, so we do have a ticket open for this with the development team currently in our backlog. So while it's on our roadmap, to do, it's currently no ETA for it.
which sometimes means it isn't possible, or it sometimes means just other things have to be prioritized
Usually a
first.
priority.
And also sometimes it can mean that we want to work on some other things that will really enhance that experience that you're having. So in any case, we do know of it, and we'll make sure to add, just a indication that we had someone else ask about it, because that's really important. Okay, and then Lynn left a few remarks. I'm sure Lindy has seen them by now, just about different things that would be really nice for her to be able to do for WFS through Listing Mirror. So,
Oh, nice.
let's see here. I'm not seeing any other questions.
Me neither.
So let's just move through to like our announcement section and stuff. If you do have another question, please feel free to ask. We can still get to it in the next few minutes, but at least everyone will have the information that they need in terms of upcoming events. Matt, if you don't mind just moving forward in our slide deck. So we are not going to be doing a webinar next month. It seems like December is usually time when things are very hairy for a lot of business owners, ourselves included. And so we are going to forego next month. But then in January, we are going to do, much like we did this year, we're going to do a roadmap session with Brian, the CEO of Listing Mirror, and just kind of talk through what's upcoming on our roadmap, what kind of things we are thinking to be working on for the next year. It's also a great time for you to be able to ask questions to him directly if there are any questions that you have, or anything that you are really interested in pushing, that you really want to make happen for the Listing Mirror software. We really count on you to give the feedback that is needed in order for us to know what we're working on next. So please make sure that you attend that webinar, and that'll be in January, and we'll be sure to add details as the time gets closer. We know this is a very busy time of year, so thank you for hanging with us today. And we just want to give you a little bit of information about what to do should things not be going how you want them to go, or if you are brand new and you want to know more things about how to get in touch with us, and also just how to get your account set up and all of that. So first things first, I offer a lot of individual training just based on the type of business that you're in, the number of staff that you have. I can do also like troubleshooting calls, things like that, just to really understand how Listing Mirror can be of use to your business. So please get in touch with me. You can contact me at erin@listingmirror.com. And then the second way to get in touch with us is through our support team. So the best way to do that is when you go to support.listingmirror.com, that will take you into the Listing Mirror portal, which is where you can see our full knowledge base. You can also submit requests there. So like, for instance, when Matt mentioned to Madi earlier that we will need to just follow up by email or by ticket, I suppose, about the rule creation, that's how that process will happen. So that will all be through tickets. So that would be how you would do that. It's also where you would go to report a bug to let us know, hey, something's not working as intended. And then of course also to create feature requests and let us know what kind of things you would like to see. And Matt is on the team, and then we have Raven and Christina on the team as well. And our hours, our support hours, are 9 to 6 Eastern Standard Time. So we are based in the US.
It's true.
And we are typically if we're not available, it's because it's a weekend or because it's nighttime where we are. If it's daytime hours, we are around. And if you ever have an emergency, we can definitely make sure to give you a hand as well. So we're successful when you're successful, and we mean that very sincerely. From one business owner to another, we want to make sure that you are successful with using the software. So whatever that looks like, we would love to be able to extend that to you as much as we can. All right. I don't see any more questions. And so we will conclude there today. Thank you all so much for joining us. We really appreciate everyone's participation. Thank you for your questions. And we look forward to seeing you in January. Hope you have a wonderful holiday season with your family and your loved ones. And we'll see you next year.
Bye.